to bring onto the stage my friend Julie Smithson, who is going to be having a conversation with James Kaplan of MeetKai. So thank you for doing this really interesting session. I can't wait to hear James tell us more about AI assisted search in Wolvic. Here you go, Julie.
Thanks for having me. I'm ready to assemble the pack. Here we go. Hey, James, how's it going?
Yes. Hi. Good, Julie. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. Welcome to today's session, and thanks everybody for joining us. I thought I'd start playing the part and ready for the pack. We've got our backgrounds on. We're immersed. We're ready to go. And today we're going to talk about MeetKai. So thank you so much, James, as CEO and co-founder of MeetKai. MeetKai is a conversational AI universe, from what I understand, and I'm going to allow you to talk the talk and share a little bit about with us what MeetKai is.
Sure. So our background has always been in AI, and that was where we started a couple of years ago. And last year we sort of got a lot more interested in the metaverse space, primarily because we really see it as like the next platform, and XR really was that sort of conduit towards like what is the future of computing. And what we discovered pretty early on, though, is we saw like the restrictive app store model that was sort of popping up on XR. And that's what got us very bullish on WebXR. And that's what we've been really focusing on this year, is that I see it as, if we believe in the metaverse to exist, which we do, then it will likely have to exist on top of the web so that it can be an open platform. And that's why we're big believers in Wolvic and WebXR more broadly, and why we ourselves are also developing WebXR Experiences as well.
Amazing. Well, I know we've got two demos we're going to take a look at today, and we're going to talk a little bit about them as well as the opportunities around them. So I think I'm going to be showing first. So we said the Louvre. We're going to start with the Louvre. Is that right?
Perfect. Okay, yes.
Here we go. Let me just pull this up and let's take a walk. Oh, I just need to reset this here. I'm assuming you can see my screen, right? Because we need to start in the Wolvic screen. Oh, not yet. Sorry, hold on.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Let's. Why don't I'll hit play, and what you're seeing just first on the screen is the Wolvic landing screen, which I think is really cool. I spent some time in there just kind of getting my bearings, and I was sharing with the team that the actual user experience of the Wolvic browser right upon entry is really intuitive. But I'm going to pass it over to you. Take it away.
Perfect.
Let's see what we're looking at here.
Perfect. So what you're seeing here is a Louvre that we created. This was actually work that we did some months ago, back in the summer, but we hadn't really worked on it that much since then, since a lot of this work was originally being done actually late last year to release as an experience in the Quest store, where the idea was going to be to create like an immersive museum. But we decided that was going to be too limiting, because then we'd be locked into Unity, locked into a store and all of that. So we restarted this development this summer, trying to build it all up into WebXR. So what you're seeing here is kind of a snapshot of where that is right now. There's still a lot of kinks that we're working out, but we are very bullish that it's going to be possible to launch this in the very near future. And the sort of thing that we're most proud of is that we're able to have an experience that we're able to build once and ship on mobile, desktop, and VR with sort of automatically scaling assets. So, this scene that we have right now, you're seeing this on Wolvic. It can also run in the Quest browser. It can run on a Quest. It can run on a Quest Pro. It can run on the Huawei headset. It can run the Lynx headset. Whatever device that has Wolvic, it can run this space. And what we're excited about is sort of what the potential this enables.
What is your name?
My name is Leonardo da Vinci.
Who was the Mona Lisa based off of?
The Mona Lisa was based upon Lisa del Genovino.
What are some other works you made?
Some other of my works are The Vitruvian Man, The Last Supper, Lady with an Hermine, and The Virgin of the Rocks. All of these are being displayed in my special Da Vinci exhibit at the Louvre.
Can you tell me about the Mona Lisa?
The Mona Lisa is a smaller painting that is less than 3 feet tall by 2 feet wide. This painting has been displayed here at the Louvre since 1797.
So what you're seeing there at the end is the thing that I'm most passionate about, actually, and that's where our background in AI really comes towards, is we really thought the advantage of the metaverse and XR and all these immersive spaces will be the idea of like it should be possible to have existences in the metaverse where you can't tell if it's a person or an AI, like, and it shouldn't matter. And like that's what we're trying to work towards right there. And for that example of Da Vinci, that was an NPC we trained with our tech, and we've been building that tech for a number of years. But like the Da Vinci NPC is sort of a novelty, and while it is interesting from an education perspective, it's not actually like really the real business value proposition for us. And what I think we can show next is the jewelry store we're working on, where that is sort of a lot more impactful,
Sure.
where I think a lot of WebXR value will come from, which is like, what is the future of retail? And like, I think that's where NPCs are really going to have the most value.
Yeah. Well, not to discount, going to the Louvre, it still provided people an experience like I personally have never been before. So, I always see images of the Louvre, and they've always been 2D. I'm not saying that it wouldn't replace going there in real life, because I certainly would love to, but I don't think, sure, retail is going to, build out that, the monetization and the real dollar value, but experience wise, this obviously opens up a whole new world for so many people, and especially being run on the web, that just opens up lots of possibilities. So for so many people. So let's sorry, go ahead.
For museums, the Louvre in general, the thing that originally motivated us to work towards museums or the Louvre was actually, like, if you think about the Statue of David, it's like, I don't know, 18 feet tall, or it's really, really tall, right? And if you just look at it from a picture, or you're looking on a phone or a desktop, you can't tell that it's big. It just looks like a statue.
No, you
but
really
like,
can't. You really
we had like a little test. Like the first time when I got a Quest headset, I just like took a model of David, put it in there, and like the feeling that you get from seeing the scale in VR is, I think, what's so killer. And I think that like there's been examples of virtual museums online for, I don't know, since AOL. People have been doing like museum walkthroughs, but VR, I think, is really sort of the first platform that really gives you that feeling of immersion. And like every time I see that Louvre video, like every time I use the experience itself, right? Or we have a few different museum experiences we built, and in VR, it's really much more immersive than a video. And I think that's really the value proposition of VR, is that, when you try to do things differently from just regular like videos, and actually get a sense of scale, like the Mona Lisa, right? It's very small. If you always look at pictures on Google Images of the Mona Lisa, you can't tell that it's like.
Yeah, you know what? Just even just myself learning in the past couple of minutes, I didn't know it was only that size. I think I thought it was a lot bigger. So already you opened my eyes to something that I didn't even know myself. Yes. So, yeah. So let's move on to your the next demo, and let's talk about this, because this obviously we're taking it out of going to a travel location, somewhere else in the world, but this is actually digging a little bit deeper into a 3D asset that would be in a store. So I'll let you walk through this. Here we go.
This is actually a pretty faithful one-to-one recreation of a jewelry store in Boston. And the idea of what we were trying to do here is we wanted to be able to recreate that store as quickly as possible, to try to get a lot closer to the experience of like shopping in a store. Since like if you look at most e-commerce these days, you're just looking at a bunch of thumbnails. I think the entire value proposition of a store is like the presenting like an experience. Like they're laying out jewelry, they're laying out content, they're laying out a feel in the store. And with this, the advantages of VR, like of course you can actually like pick up the $6,800 bracelet, pick up the $500 bracelet, and you can like move it around. So I think we're going to see that in a second. This is the right video.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking, when we start dealing with pass-through and these types of things, the try before you buy, place in your space, all the filters, the AR potential here is huge, especially running from the web, right?
Exactly. So that's the real value proposition that we see here for this store, is that if you look at a lot of e-commerce plays right now, people don't shop in custom apps for different brands anymore, right? It's largely driven through you're somewhere else and you get a link through an ad or some activation or whatever to a different store. And the value of the web here is that I think that's how people are going to shop in the metaverse as well, is people are going to be looking at one thing. We go back to what Brian was just saying about billboard ads in the homepage, right? If you imagine an ad there, it's not going to say, click this ad, download our app, open our metaverse store, and then go here to explore. Instead, it's going to be like, take a look at our new bracelet, and you're going to hit that ad, open an immersive experience, and then maybe you have the pass-through try on there. Maybe you can just like look at different size engagement rings. There's a lot of different possibilities there. And for us, like the tech that we sort of worked on here, and that's what's being shown, is largely related to asset scanning and asset optimization. And the real key here, like if you look at the bangle, or if you think about the scene, and we're going to be posting like different versions of the scene online to kind of show the progression. But we have the ability to go from a very high quality scene and have it be scaling up and down dynamically. And the very fun part about the web is that like at runtime, we can be sending over different textures depending upon what device is running it. And with Wolvic, it can work on any device, right? We can build the same experience. And if Wolvic is running, I mean, right now, there are no high-powered VR headsets. But I mean, like the Sony one, for example, right, that's coming out next year, that should be capable of a lot more than the Quest is or any other type of XR2 platform. So if Wolvic is running on both of them, we can have the same exact experience running in Wolvic like this and have it be automatically scaling or downscaling the textures and lighting based on the scene. And it's so much easier than just an app. Because otherwise, like, it's just, you think about the size of a lot of these apps on the store right now, they're multiple gigs, right? That's no one's going to download a 3 gig shopping experience just to like look at a product.
That's right. Yeah, and it's funny because when this was playing originally, you think, oh, it's just like their stores, but guess what? You can actually touch the products and the jewelry, and in a store, it's covered in, protected by glass, and you can't, pick up every single one. Guess what? Here you go. You can, and AI is going to turn that into such a personalized experience that. Maybe it stays, only shows you amethysts. I'm an Aquarian, so I always go for the amethyst, if I'm looking for that, or diamonds, for example. It can personalize any shopping experience at this point.
Exactly. So if you look at the way the store is actually set up, like it's extremely modular, like just if you're looking in front of you right now, like all of those display cases, the way the scene is sort of constructed at runtime is as the user enters, it just has like the shell of the scene. And then we can dynamically move around the assets. And that's sort of what we've always been passionate about when it comes to like AI in general, right? We have some applications for AI right now in e-commerce for like a search app for shopping. And the idea that was interesting to us for the metaverse is like, if you have a 3D space, the entire value of it being digital should be that it's customizable, moving everything around, right? So I think that, what we're excited to do and move towards that direction of like the entire metaverse should be changing for each person, but still rooted in some concept of reality. Because I think when a lot of people talk about these custom spaces, oftentimes they sort of go too far off. I mean, you hear during the keynote by Meta talking about, the Lord of the Rings homeroom or the Star Wars homeroom and things like that.
Right.
But I think people still do want things somewhat rooted in reality. But my favorite example is like, we've been working on a clothing store for some time now. And like, as a man going shopping, it is frustrating that I always have to go in real life to either the top floor or the bottom floor if you want to get men's clothing at a department store. So the value of a 3D space is that it could be dynamic. People that are in there can drive what is in that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's just so much potential and opportunity. And I guess, we only have a minute, but is there anything else that you want to share about working on the Wolvic browser that, you found empowering and, made your demos successful today?
So we're big believers in Wolvic because it's cross-platform. We're also extremely big believers because it's open source. I mean, if you use Wolvic right now, the voice search, try it out. If it's broken, you can complain to us because we're the ones that are powering it right now in Wolvic.
Nice.
We're planning to add quite a few more features to Wolvic now that it's kind of becoming a more public product. I think if you look at successful browsers, the best browsers are those that pull in features from different viewpoints. Not necessarily the same corporate company that's powering, the most popular browser in the world right now. So I think that, our goal is to keep adding to Wolvic features that we're passionate about. I mean, I think extensions is the one that we're most interested in at the moment. I think there's a lot of value to be said about adding extensions to Wolvic that make it easier to either use certain features in your WebXR experiences or just make the web a better place in general. And that's something that, Wolvic and Igalia are open to. compared to, the Quest browser, where that is not a thing being discussed at all. And Chrome is even really removing real extensions. So I think Wolvic, by supporting extensions, will make it possible to make even better experiences much easier.
Amazing. It's always about building more efficiencies in our, whether it's the workflow or the user experience, breaking down those barriers to build a more formidable experience all around. So thank you so much for our conversation today and sharing your work. I know your team behind the scenes is proud of their work too, and congratulations on everything you've done.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Julie.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks again, James.